Whether it's a new mechanic that prioritizes convenience over grinding, whether it's a game that gives you more good Pokemon than you can even have on a team, or whether the game is just factually the shortest Pokemon game to ever come out, it should all go without saying that Game Freak has let us off the hook a few years. But then it should also go without saying that some years they really put it on us. Indigo Disc DLC, Challenge Mode in Black and White, Cynthia battles, Volo battles, the Battle Frontier, or the crazy level curve in Pokemon Red. And I'm already knowing, y'all might be just thinking to yourselves, he just finna list the last couple Pokemon games that have come out. And surprise, surprise, I'm not. I have played every Pokemon game plenty of times, obviously. And I'm just here to objectively tell you that you don't have to exactly be a Pokemon master to navigate through these games. And these 3 games that I have chosen have been evenly spread through the 28 years we've known the Pokemon world. By the way, what's up y'all? It's The Brett Show. Welcome to another episode of The Brett Show. Today we're gonna be talking about what are the easiest Pokemon games, and I picked 3 of the easiest Pokemon games in the world, I guess. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, comment which one do you think was easy, and if you think one of these easy games was hard for you at some point. And also be sure to hit the notification bell so you know first when I drop a video. And number 1 out of the 3 easiest Pokemon games, in no specific order mind you, might actually surprise you, because the first one is Gold, Silver, and Crystal. I have recently gone back to play these games, and I think it is baffling that somehow Lance got weaker over the 3-year gap in between Pokemon Gold and Pokemon Red. There's a very good chance that by the time you beat the Elite Four the first time, your Pokemon will still be in the high 40s level, which doesn't necessarily make the battles easier, but what it does make easier is the fact that you don't have to grind as hard. Get all your Pokemon above level, I don't know, 47 and you're good for beating the game. And we won't even mention the fact that Lance probably used Team Rocket's Mahogany Tower radio station to prematurely evolve his Dragonair into Dragonite, because it was level 50 when you see it the first time, and Dragonair definitely levels up or evolves at level 55. The only time I ever had to grind in the Gold and Silver games was when I wanted to get my Dragonair to level 55 so it could evolve, because I just didn't feel right beating the game with a Pokemon in my team that still has the capability of evolving. And for the people that don't agree with me that Pokemon Gold and Silver is one of the easiest Pokemon games, just take your team from any other Pokemon game you've ever played and then put it against your team in Gold and Silver, and your team in any other Pokemon game you've ever played will wash your Gold and Silver team easily. The third gym leader, Whitney, her battle is kinda hard, I guess, but not because of the grinding you have to do, but because of the strategy that you have to use for her milk tank specifically. And also, gyms 5 through 7 can just be fought in any order. The post game is where you'll find some difficulty because there's other gym leaders on the whole other side of town, and then there's the crazy strong red fight at the end of the game. But then again, that's the post game. You can reach the end of this game, like the actual the end screen, pretty easily with barely any Pokemon above level 50. I mean, the Elite Four got weaker. I mean, Red left and then everybody just dropped the ball for Gold. And it's crazy how the main reason why Gold and Silver were easy was because the levels were too low. The main reason why Pokemon X and Y is one of the easiest games is because the levels are too high. And when I say levels are too high, I mean your own team's levels. This generation is when the XP All was introduced, forever changing the course of Pokemon gaming history. And for the last 10 years, we've been subjected to it, for better or for worse. Although I grew to end up liking the XP All because it encouraged team switching, like, you know, anime style. But the first iteration of this XP All was flawed. Technically, it wasn't the first iteration of the XP All because the original games also had an XP All, but that worked totally different and was more annoying than it was useful. This XP All just gave out flat out free points to everybody in your team. They gave out XP for catching Pokemon. And the XP All is far from the only thing to blame for why X and Y was extremely easy. The second thing out of the 3 main things is the Wonder Trade. Wonder Trade was introduced, which means you take a random Pokemon, you ship it out, and you get a random Pokemon back for somebody doing the same exact thing. So you can catch like a level 7 whatever Pokemon, ship them out in the Wonder Trade, and get back like a level 34 Alakazam or Kadabra at the most random point in the game, which kind of made it fun, but also kind of made it easy and easily abused. Also, one thing about Pokemon X and Y is they give you way too many Pokemon. They hand you way too many Pokemon. The Kalos starter, Lucario, the Kanto starter, Tyrant or Amora, depending on which one you choose, Lapras, and the legendary are all given to you. The legendary kind of isn't given to you. You have the opportunity to catch it, but it's still pushed in front of you like catch me now. But anyways, all of those Pokemon I named you were 5 different Pokemon. If you used all of those Pokemon on your team, you barely had any choice for an actual team to use. Plus, you could get crazy good Pokemon in the early game. Yeah, they gave you Lucario at around like the 5th gym, the 6th gym, but that comes way after they give you the opportunity to catch the pre-evolutionary form Riolu on Route 22. You could also get Ralts on Route 22, so you can have a Lucario, a Gardevoir, or a Gallade in the early game. Me personally, on my first playthrough, they gave me a choice between Amora and Tyrant for my fossil Pokemon. I chose Amora, looked at it for a few seconds and realizes that I did not want it, and I traded it online for a Tyrant. That Tyrant became so overpowered because it was a traded Pokemon and it got extra XP on top of the XP all. By the time I beat the Elite Four again, my Tyrant was level 95 naturally off the muscle. So in Pokemon Gold and Silver, the levels were too low, there was no grinding. And in Pokemon X and Y, the levels were too high, also with no grinding. In Sword and Shield, it wasn't any of that. The leveling in Sword and Shield was actually not that bad. It was fine. What was weird about Sword and Shield, and the reason why it's the 3rd entry on the easiest Pokemon games list, is that Sword and Shield was the shortest Pokemon game to come out. The shortest. Not only did they piss people off by just not allowing certain Pokemon on the Pokedex, not only was this supposed to usher in a whole new generation of Pokemon on the most powerful thing Pokemon has ever been on before, but weirdly enough, Pokemon Sword and Shield was only 25.5 hours long compared to the regular Pokemon times of 32, 34, 36, maybe even 40 hours for the likes of Pokemon Diamond. Sword and Shield is a 25.5 hour game. So just off of time alone, Pokemon Sword and Shield is gonna be one of the easiest Pokemon games ever. Not to mention that you get introduced to the wild area very early, which means that you can catch pretty strong Pokemon off the muscle, off the rip. Because in the wild area is just one big area. There's weak Pokemon in there, there's strong Pokemon in there. Yeah, certain Pokemon won't listen to you, but you can still have the opportunity to catch them in the early game, which I would argue is like the anime. So it's like, it's not too far-fetched, but but for a Pokemon game and people who really know how to catch Pokemon, that could be abused very easily and is a cheat that can make the shortest Pokemon game ever even easier. And also in the wild area were max raid battles, which gave out strong Pokemon that you could use your friends to attack. No matter how much farther in the game they were or how much stronger or more experienced they were than you, you can use them to help you catch a really strong Pokemon you have no business having. And then in those max raid battles, they would just give out some of the best items in the game. Like you would get the best items in the game in max raid battles. So putting that in the wild area in the early game, basically, if you had a friend, you had a cheat code. Even more of a cheat code than you had in Pokemon Red if you had a friend, when you trade like a hunter to trade in to evolve it into Gengar or something. Now this game and generation didn't introduce affection. Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon, they introduced affection in their games. But this game had affection in it, and on top of being the shortest game with the wild areas and the max raid battles, yeah, this game is gonna be one of the easiest Pokemon games you've ever touched in your life. And it's so surprising that this was one of the shortest games because it was the first one on the Switch. This was the first Pokemon game that wasn't on the handheld console, but rather the home console. It kind of still was a handheld console, but it was also the home console. So yeah, I know a hot topic in Pokemon world right now is the fact that some of the games are easy, but I just wanted to call attention that there's been easy games littered in Pokemon since forever. Pokemon Gold and Silver, that came out in what, 2000, 2001, 2002? Pokemon X and Y came out in 2014, then Pokemon Sword and Shield came out in 2019. So it's not all just the new ones, but it is primarily the new ones with the XP all, the wild area and things like that. I didn't even get to Gigantamaxing because the only way to make that game any resemblance of difficult for me was to keep myself from Gigantamaxing. So I'm basically coming up with Nuzlocke rules as I'm playing the game because it's just that easy. And it's also quicker than any other Pokemon game I've ever experienced. Like I said, Pokemon Diamond can take you 40 hours to beat the game. And if you remember, in that game, by the time you do the whole Cyrus, alternate dimension, whatever side quest with Team Galactic, at that point, you only have 6 or 7 gym badges. That means you are only halfway through your actual Pokemon journey at that point. Not to even mention the fact that you have to grind for Cynthia and then also do the whole post game. So yeah, some of the Pokemon games are difficult, some of them are just easy. I don't know who the guy at Game Freak that chooses whether we're doing the Volo and Cynthia battles or whether we're only gonna get 25.5 hours of story. But to each his own. You guys tell me if I miss one, or if one of these games was difficult, or if one of the other games that everybody thought was difficult was easy. You know what I'm saying? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you like this video, you are sure to like all my other videos. Please turn on the post notifications because I be uploading, you know what I'm saying, Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time in America. But I don't know what time you guys get it, but I upload at the same time every week. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? Let me know, hop up in the streams, you know what I'm saying? I'm inviting more people. Also, let me know if you guys want me to stream with somebody. I'll definitely try to reach out to them and stream with them. But yeah, spread love, give inspiration in all you do, and peace out.
Welcome to the Crash Show. Take 2.